In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to add fractions with unlike denominators. You'll notice that we have two different equations here where we're going to need to add these two fractions together that have different denominators or unlike denominators. The method that I'm going to be using in this case is to find the least common multiple of the denominator, or the least common denominator. So the first place I'm going to start is with my first equation here of 1/4 plus 2/5. I need to look at the 4 in the denominator and think about all the multiples of 4. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and so on. I can keep going, but I think we might already have our least common multiple in this list. Now I'm going to take a look at the denominator of 5. So if I think about the multiples of 5, then I'm going to have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and so on. Now I need to look for their common multiples. So as I look through my list, I'm trying to make sure that I have the same number in the multiples of 4 as I do in the multiples of 5. The first one that I see is 20. Notice how there are no multiples less than 20 that are both multiples of 4 and 5. So 20 happens to be our least common multiple, or our least common denominator in this case, since we're dealing with fractions. So I need to create a common denominator, or an equivalent fraction, of both of the fractions in my equation. In this case, the common denominator is going to be 20. So what could I multiply to 4 to end up with 20? Hopefully you're thinking 5. So I'm going to multiply 5 to the numerator and the denominator of my fraction. So I'm going to end up with 5/20. And I'm going to multiply a 4 to the numerator and the denominator of my second fraction to come up with a common denominator of 20. 5 times 4 is 20. 2 times 4 is going to give me 8. Now all I need to do is combine my numerators, since my denominators are the exact same. In this case, 5 plus 8 will end up giving me 13. In other words, 13/20 would be my sum of these two fractions. Now I need to do the exact same thing for our second example. You'll notice that I have 1/12 plus 2/3. Once again, I'm going to start by working on my multiples. So I'm going to start with 12 and find all of the multiples that I can think of 12. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, and so on. I think we might already have the multiple here. So I want to double check that by working through with 3. So I'm going to take the denominator of 3 that I have, and I'm going to come up with all the multiples of 3. So I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and so on. Notice we do have a least common multiple. The least common multiple happens to be 12 in this case. Both multiples of 12 and multiples of 3, right, will create a multiple of 12. So least common multiple, or in our case, a least common denominator, happens to be 12 in this case. Now, you'll notice that our first fraction already has 12 in the denominator, which means I'm just going to rewrite it. For my second fraction, however, I need to create a common denominator of 12. Notice right now we have a 3. So I need to think to myself, what should I multiply 3 by in order to be able to come up with 12? Well, 3 times 4 will give me 12. And remember, we're going to be multiplying this to the numerator and to the denominator. I'm going to end up with 8/12, which is an equivalent fraction to 2/3. You can always double check this by just simplifying. Now I just need to add my two fractions together. Now notice in this case, both of my fractions have a denominator of 12, which means that I just need to add the numerators together. So I'm going to take 1 plus 8. I'm going to end up with 9/12. Hopefully you found this video helpful for adding fractions with unlike denominators using least common multiple.